All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. I'd like to welcome everybody back for the beginning of our 2026 school year. Tonight is January 6th, and tonight is our special organizational meeting and brief board business meeting. So again, welcome everybody that's here in person and the millions of people that are watching online. I'm sure everybody's just waiting with bated breath to find out what's going to happen. I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order and ask Ms. Wilson to do roll call.
Mr. Chad Thompson,
Here.
Dr. Blake Robeson,
Here.
Ms. Jill Humphreys,
Here.
Ms. Shana Murray,
Here.
Mr. Jesse Brainard.
Here.
Mr. President, all board members are present. You have a quorum.
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Wilson. Okay. Tonight's special organizational meeting will include reading through the board president and the board clerk duties and responsibilities. And then we'll start with the board president, and we'll have nominations and elections. And then we'll move on to the board clerk. And so we'll just jump right in, if that works for everybody. I'll go ahead and read the duties of the president of the board. Preside over all meetings and conduct meetings in accordance with Arizona law and policies of the district. Consult with the superintendent and on behalf of the governing board. As a whole, approve items to be placed on the agenda for each meeting. Encourage and maintain orderly and democratic participation. Keep all discussions factual and on the subject at hand. Allow for full and complete exploration of each item of business. In the absence of the president of the board, the clerk shall preside over the meeting temporarily and perform the functions of the president. In the absence of the president, the clerk, the superintendent, in the absence of the president and clerk, the superintendent will recommend the board members select a temporary president. I will now call for board president nominations 3 times. Would anybody like to nominate somebody for board president?
I would like to go ahead and nominate Chad, just for keeping consistency with the superintendent search. You've already kind of been involved in a lot of that process, and I feel like that would just be beneficial for the team as a whole to keep it consistent.
Okay, I'll call again for nominations. Are there any other nominations for board president?
Are we just nomination now, not speaking to
Yes.
nominations?
Correct.
I would like to nominate Dr. Blake Robeson for president.
Okay. And I'll call for a third and final time any nominations for board president. Okay.
Before we vote, can I speak about why I am nominating Blake? Since Shana spoke about why she was nominating you. It has been the tradition earlier on this board that everyone serves 1 year as board president. That changed a little bit, probably about 12 or 13 years ago, and we started having people to serve 2 years. I personally think it's really important that that rotates as we go through that. We've all been elected, we've all been through a campaign and ballots and election, and I think that allowing everyone to represent for a year is really important to showing our entire community that that we value every voice on the board. And that's why I realize that Chad has done a great job, and yes, we are in the midst of a superintendent search, but these are the times that usually we are dealing with more difficult decisions because it's in the middle of the year, it's not an election, and we have time to focus and take care of really important business.
Okay, thank you very much. Would anyone else like to comment?
Yeah, I would just comment that, first off, I appreciate the nomination, and I also appreciate the sentiment, and I agree that rotating through definitely has its merits, and I certainly don't think someone should be an eternal board president. But I do think that whether it's every 1 year, every couple years, seems to work. And just given this year, given the transition that we're going through, given the search that we're in the middle of right now, I do think it would be prudent to have President Thompson continue. I think he's done a great job this
So
year.
are you declining the nomination?
I am declining the nomination.
Okay.
Thank
In
you.
that case, I will nominate myself, Jill Humphreys, for board president.
Okay. So we have two nominees, myself, Chad Thompson, and Miss Jill Humphreys. I'll go ahead and call for a vote for the first nominee, myself, Chad Thompson. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay. And that passes 3-2. So there's no need for another vote.
Nope.
Okay, thank you all for your participation. And now we will move on to board clerk. And I will explain the roles and the duties and responsibilities of the board clerk. Let's see, duties of the clerk of the board shall be as follows. The clerk of the governing board shall perform the following duties unless the board delegates them to an employee. Keep a record of the proceedings of the board in accordance with Arizona law and policies of the district. Review an itemized account of the receipts and expenditures of school monies, also known as vouchers. Discharge other duties as prescribed by the board. I'll now go ahead and make the first call for nominations for board clerk.
I'd like to nominate Shayna Murray.
Okay, thank you very much. Shayna Murray, nominated. I'll go ahead and call a second time for nominations for board clerk.
I nominate Jesse Brainerd.
Thank you very much, Mr. Brainerd. And I'll make a third and final call for nominations for board clerk. So we have two nominees for board clerk. We'll take them in order. I'll call for a vote for the first nomination as board clerk. All those in favor of Shayna Murray as board clerk, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, that passes 3-2. We have our board clerk. Congratulations, Ms. Murray. We'll now that the nominations and elections portion of our organizational meeting is done. Again, thank you all for your participation and your support for those serving on the board and all of you in general in all your capacities. Thank you very much. Moving on to agenda item number 3.01, times of meetings. Dr. McCord.
Thank you, Mr. President, governing board members. Again, welcome to everyone tonight. Our current time for governing board meetings is 6 p.m. It was changed, I think, back in probably 2015-ish.
I think it was about 2017, if I
Maybe
remember.
2017, so it's been a while.
Yeah.
The community's really in tune with what time our board meetings start. And so my recommendation is keep the time, especially as we're moving through the second semester. If there's a recommendation to change the time, my suggestion would be you do that in the beginning of the school year for next year, so it gives people ample time to understand. So that's my recommendation. It's up to you guys.
Okay, any discussion?
Well, I want to make a motion to discuss.
Okay, we've got,
I just, because we can't talk about this outside of the meeting, I just wanted to ask if anyone wanted to change to a later time, and I was if we do, I would make a motion that we would start February 1st with the later time because we have some important things coming up in January.
Okay, so we have a motion to discuss our meeting times. Is there a second?
Second?
Thank you, Ms. Murray. Okay, and so Ms. Humphries, would you,
Well, I am fine with 6 o'clock. That's not a problem for me. I've just noticed that for some other people, it's a little bit harder to get here on time. So if you're fine with 6 o'clock, then we'll just go ahead with 6 o'clock, and that's how I'll make the motion. But if you want to speak, speak now. That's what I.
6 o'clock works. I like the idea of keeping it consistent for our families because they're very used to it and for the awards and all of that. I would be open to discussing possibly if we could do a half hour at 6:30, starting the beginning of the new school year. For personal reasons, my own schedule changes and things like that, but it's also not definitive at this time for me, and I'm also not the only board member. So it could be something that I'd be willing to discuss at a later date, but 6 p.m. still works for me.
okay, so I'm a little confused. So 6 PM works for you, and then,
Yes.
but 6:30,
Later,
Yes.
like maybe over the summer. We could bring
Are-
that back over the summer and change it,
okay.
Are we
like in June.
we're allowed to do that?
Yeah.
That's what
So basically from now until the end of the school year, the
6 o'clock.
6
is what
o'clock.
Shane is
Okay.
saying. Is
Any
that-
other, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other comments or concerns or questions?
We're talking about all meetings, right? The policy
Yes.
meeting also.
But yes, we are talking about all meetings.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 6 o'clock meeting works great. When we have meetings a little bit earlier than that, sometimes it's a challenge for me. Appreciate everyone's understanding. Everyone except for President Thompson usually gives me an evil eye when I walk in, but other than that,
Well, if the boot fits.
so those, and for policy meetings, usually a couple Mondays a month are no problem for me to get here by 4:30, but other Mondays are a little bit more challenging, so I can try to coordinate those better.
Okay, then I'll just go ahead and make a motion that we keep the meeting times as they are presently constituted.
Okay.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Humphries. Thank you, Dr. Robeson. So just so we're clear, all meeting times remaining the same, and then if there is a desire to change those at a later time before the next organizational meeting, whoever wants to change those can make a motion, and we can
Well,
look at those. We can put
please-
it on the agenda.
Yes, we need
Yeah.
to, someone will need to ask for it
Yeah.
on the agenda, and then we can discuss it again
Perfect.
at that time.
Okay, is that everybody's understanding? Okay, then I'll go ahead and call for a vote. All those in favor of keeping the meeting times as they are currently, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. We'll go ahead and keep the meeting times as they are. 3.02, review and approval of rules of order. Dr. McCord.
Thank you, governing board members. We've been operating off of like a pseudo Robert Rules of Order. I think they've been working out for many years now, and I would suggest keeping the same rules of order that we have had in the past.
Would anyone like to make a motion to discuss?
I make a motion that we keep the rules of order as presently constituted.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second?
Thank you, Mr. Brainerd. Any discussion? I think it's working as we're currently operating. So if that, does anybody disagree or have any comments?
Well, one of the reasons we have this more simplified format is that we are a small body, only 5 people, so something like Robert's Rules of Order is meant for a bigger group of people, so keeping it simple, I think it's working well.
Thank you very much. All right, I'll go ahead and call for a vote then. All those in favor of keeping the rules of order as is, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. And now to board appointments to various committees. So, Dr. McCord.
Thank you, Mr. President, governing board members. Currently, the board appointed committees are Town of Gilbert Liaison, Audit Committee member, Gilbert Education Foundation, City of Mesa Liaison, and there's two on here, but it's coupled into one. Ms. Jill Humphreys has that. It's the legislative representative as well as employee benefit trust. And just for everybody's knowledge, Town of Gilbert is Blake, Audit Committee is Chad, GEF is Jesse, City of Mesa is Shayna, and again, legislative representative employee benefit is Jill.
And those last two don't necessarily need
No,
to
they
be
don't,
coupled.
they don't
No.
need to go together.
Okay. All right. Do
So,
we need to, somebody want to make a motion?
yes, I
to-
want to make a motion to
Okay.
discuss
Okay. Is there a
before we, and I want to present an idea and just get feedback before I make another motion. Because we've become more involved with School Connect over the last year or so, I thought it would be a nice idea if we could have a School Connect liaison. And to me, that person, there's a School Connect Summit on January 27th this year, but it's usually in January or February. It's like half a day. It's like 8 o'clock to 12:30. There's a lot of training that goes on there to help understand what that organization is trying to accomplish in partnership with school districts and schools. And so I thought it would be nice if we could have a board member assigned to attend that meeting. And also, there's a recognition breakfast, I think that's in April or May. And then if they have time or are available to support going to when we have those meetings in the different regions of our district. You know, for example, we had one at Mesquite High School and one at Highland High School. So if they could do that, but I just think the most important thing is probably getting to the summit so there's some training and understanding about the model that School Connect is using. So that was one suggestion. And then my other suggestion is just that Dr. Robeson has served on the Master Facilities Committee, and he served on that committee while he was a private citizen, and now he's elected to the school board. I was going to suggest that we make just a liaison to the Master Facilities Committee, and then have opportunities, you know, perhaps Dr. Robeson would like to do that this year because he's been doing it, but maybe have opportunities for other board members to serve as a liaison with that committee in the future.
Okay, so there's three different things there.
No, two.
Well, including the discussion on the committee appointments.
Yes.
So there's three. Let's take them a bite at a time. Let's first discuss, is there a motion to discuss the various committee appointments?
I'll make that motion to
Okay.
discuss. I just wanted to,
The existing,
okay, you want to
committee.
do the existing ones first? I wanted to do this first because then
Oh.
I thought if whatever we decide, then people can decide among those choices as well. But if you'd rather go with the committee assignments first, I'll make a motion for that.
Can I interrupt?
Sure.
Yes.
Would we then split up the legislative representative as well as employee benefit,
Yes.
just so?
Because on the list that you, was on board docs, we had also an alternate representative for legislative.
Right.
So, yes, I took those because there was more than 5 positions. So I took both of those, and I think definitely someone can take more than one.
Well,
So-
and if your other two recommendations move forward, then that'll open it up even more, so.
Yes. So it might be that you take 2 different things that you're working on. So whichever way you prefer. But
Okay.
I figured if we talk, so I could make a motion about Gilbert Education about School Connect. Do you want to do them one at a time?
Let's do School Connect and Master Facilities Committee together.
Okay.
So go ahead and
And
make
then
that motion.
That's why I brought it up first.
Okay.
And then, depending on our decision, then people know what they want to select
Okay.
from. So I make a motion that we appoint a liaison to School Connect that would attend the School Connect Summit, and also that we have a position as a liaison to the Master Facilities Committee.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Humphries. Is there a second?
Second?
Thank you, Mr. Brainerd. Okay. So, just a couple of thoughts.
And I just want to clarify something. I'm sorry to interrupt. The Master Capital Planning Committee is not a board-appointed committee. It is a superintendent committee. I just want to make sure that you guys know that. So if you do make that decision, it no longer becomes a superintendent committee. It becomes a board committee.
And that's, so Ms. Humphries referred to it as master facilities. It's the master plan, master
sorry,
capital planning.
sorry.
Okay, no, it's okay. I just want to make sure that we're keeping the record clear. Okay, so my thoughts,
Just a minute, I have a question for Dr. McCord, since he said that. So the reason I said liaison to Master Facility Committee is that I thought that would keep it as a superintendent committee. Because why does it become a board committee if we're appointing a liaison, but we have a board member serving on that committee?
Well, that board member was a community member and is
Okay.
continuing to serve probably as in the capacity as a community member because he lives in the community, has children in
Yes.
the schools, and so it was never designated as such. So it was always intended to be a superintendent committee.
Yes, I understand that.
And people who report back are on the board appointed committees. He never reports back on the Master Capital Planning Committee.
Okay, then I'm going to strike that from my.
That was the reason
Okay.
why.
I had a different understanding, so I will strike that one and just make a motion to discuss the School Connect.
okay, so we're going to take the master capital planning committee liaison off of the,
That was my suggestion.
Motion.
I'm removing that suggestion.
and so now there's a motion to discuss creating a liaison for School Connect. Okay, is that accurate?
Yes,
Okay,
that's
is there
accurate.
is there a second for that motion?
Second?
Thank you, Mr. Brainerd. Okay, so here's my thoughts. We've got 6 committees that are board committees that we report on, and School Connect is not currently a committee, but
It would not be a committee. It would just be an assignment like Gilbert Education Foundation. And it wouldn't be that we have a say in School Connect. It's just we have a board member that is attending training and giving support. That's
So,
all it is.
I think that is, for the most part, already happening. I know that I've heard reports when, for example, when Dr. Robeson reports on as the Town of Gilbert liaison, I know in the past he's also mentioned, hey, I went to a School Connect event, and, this is my report on that event. And I think most School Connect events are attended by one or more board members already. And so my hesitation to make this an appointment is that we're all already pretty busy with either our other committees or just life in general, that making it an appointment might, I don't want to overburden any one board member with an appointment. And I would just say, because last year at this meeting, we decided to encourage board members when making these committee reports to mention anything else or other things that they would like to report on during those reports. I think that would be an appropriate time and venue to report on School Connect if you attended. And so I guess I don't know if I'm really in favor of appointing a liaison, other than just letting those board members that want to attend School Connect events and letting them know that they're welcome to report on those events as part of their monthly committee reports.
Well, Mr. Thompson, the reason I wanted to make it a liaison is just that I thought it would be good for one board member to commit to attending the School Connect Summit, so they're learning about School Connect and how it functions and supporting there. So,
Are there any other comments?
Yeah, can I ask more about this training? Is this something that is for board members? Is this something that staff and administrators are going to? Do we have someone from the district who's attending that meeting?
We generally send principals and staff members, and Rod Houston generally goes because he kind of oversees the process of School Connect, as well as Jason Martin. I've been in the past, all kinds of different people attend, and it's more of, I don't even know if I would constitute it as a training as much as just an understanding of what School Connect is. A lot of the training comes from them directly if you're going to incorporate School Connect into your district, and then they send individuals out and train your team.
well, I will say it was more of a training in the beginning years that I attended, because they were trying to help everyone understand what their vision was for School Connect, and it's maybe not quite as much now, but I think it's very helpful. I've attended all of their School Connect summits except the very first one. So I just thought it might be of interest to somebody else. But, you know, as a board member, you can always talk to Rod and say, well, can you get me a ticket so I can go? So, you know, we don't have to have a liaison. I just thought it was a good idea.
Yeah, I think School Connect's awesome. If everyone should go to them whenever they have the chance to. Members in the community should participate. I think there's a lot of unrealized potential in those as well. I mean, I've been so impressed by the ones I've gone to, and the amount of work that goes into it. And I think just kind of connecting the next step of kind of generating that excitement to then putting that into action. So I think they're super important, and I think that as a board we should be aware and should be involved, and I would encourage everyone to go. I guess I'm not sure that making it a permanent or official liaison, I don't know what that does. More
Well,
so than
it
just
would
encouraging
make-
everyone
yeah. It would make,
to go.
you know, it would give someone the opportunity to report on it here.
Yeah.
And, you know, you could just connect with Rod once in a while to see, you know, what's coming up or so forth. Just kind of in the same way that Gilbert Education Foundation, but of course, on the Gilbert Education Foundation, you're a member of the board, a non-voting member, but you wouldn't be a member of the board with School Connect. You'd just be a liaison, like the town or Mesa.
I just had one question too. How many School Connect events are there a year? And outside of that, is it that conference? Is it a few days? Is it once a year? Or, you know?
So what happens is we generally try to schedule 2 to 3 a year, and we've been rotating through our high school and feeder schools, and we have one more left, the GCA feeder, and that's coming out, is that February?
Early February, correct?
Yeah, early February. So that we would have hit all of our schools, and then we'll reconvene to decide on what the next phase looks like, but we haven't decided that yet.
What's considered a GCA feeder?
That's a good question. All the schools that didn't go yet.
In our initial Mesquite High feeder, we only had a couple of our elementaries in the area go. And so GCA and some other surrounding elementaries have not had the opportunity to have their own School Connect Cafe yet. So that's coming up here in early February. And then as Dr. McCord said, all 39 schools over the last 3 to 4 years will have been through a School Connect Cafe. But our intention is for those to continue in the upcoming year as well.
Yep. Mix it up a little bit, make it look a little different, possibly.
And then for the conference or whatever.
It's just a half day. It's a half day, usually at the end of January or beginning of February. So it starts like 8 o'clock and ends at 12:30.
Okay.
And it's been at the, I don't know, what is the football stadium? It's been at the football stadium, and sometimes it's been at Grand Canyon University. This year it will be at Grand Canyon University.
State Farm or,
State Farm,
Yeah.
Okay.
like that football stadium.
No, I think it's probably the basketball arena. It's in downtown
Oh,
Phoenix.
yeah.
Sorry.
it's,
Me and my
yeah.
sports, I'm not that great.
Matchup.
The
Now Mortgage Matchup
footprints.
Arena.
It's in a big venue.
Was Footprint. Now
Yeah.
it's,
I was going to say, give it a year.
yeah. Gilbert Public Schools Arena.
Well, sure.
Okay, is there any other discussion on this? Okay, then I'll go ahead and call for a vote. And Ms. Humphries, if you'll make sure that I get this right. So
Sure.
all those in favor of creating a
Liaison.
designating a board member as a School Connect liaison,
Yes.
say aye.
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 All those opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Okay,
That's fine.
so, but Ms. Humphries, I definitely agree that, and agree with Dr. Robeson that we should all attend at least once. And I absolutely invite you to report
I will.
on the School
I-
Connect
I
events. and
will.
Appreciate your reports. Okay. All right, let's go on to the appointments of the various committees. Appointments to the various committees. Is there a motion to discuss the various committee appointments?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Brainerd. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Humphries. And, all right. I'm going to duke it out. Who wants
If
what?
I can just,
Well, I'll volunteer.
I'll ask Ms. Murray for her commentary too, and I guess everyone who served on their committee this past year. I would actually love to get it down to 5 rather than expand. And I'm not sure if I did it wrong, but the town of Gilbert wasn't very much of a burden. And I don't know what town of Mesa was. I don't know if it would make sense to combine those into one and then have 5 committees.
I think, having done both of those, I think it's a challenge. I mean, I've tried to attend, especially for Gilbert, it's a challenge because their meetings are on similar nights as our meetings. But I would recommend we just, it's mostly trying to connect with that council member that is the liaison to us. And the last time I did it, Kevin Thompson was on the Mesa City Council, and so I would send him an email and kind of tell him what we were doing, and then he would email me back with some of what they were doing. So I think, though, it is one where you have to work to pursue that person, so I think it's easier to combine 2 other different things than those 2.
And I would be fine with that. I feel that they're 2, like, of all the committees, those are the same. Like, I can cut and paste my email and send it to 2 different people. So you're not really having to do much more work. And so I could reach out to the town of Gilbert rep. I can reach out to the city of Mesa rep with the same email, cut and paste. But if it makes sense to combine 2 other ones, that's fine. If there's someone who, I was just trying to distribute the workload as well. If there's someone who wants to take two committees with a heavier workload, that's fine as well.
Well, I'll
I'm not-
volunteer because I know what I'd like to take.
Perfect.
Go ahead.
I would really like to do Gilbert Education Foundation this year. I've done that in the past, and it is one of my favorites. And if someone else wants this, I'd like to stay on the Employee Benefit Trust, but if someone else wants to do that, please take it, and I'll choose something else. I can do something else besides Gilbert Education Foundation. So,
I was kind of interested in the Employee Benefit Trust, if
Okay.
that's,
Okay. All right. Miss Murray, do you have any thoughts on this?
I mean, with my experience just being in Mesa and in Gilbert, it's made sense for me to be on the Mesa committee. It's just kind of all ties together really well. Interesting thoughts, Blake, on combining the two. I don't disagree with you, but I also understand your points about like meeting nights and stuff like that. So I would be fine with just continuing to be the Mesa liaison unless somebody else is really looking for that job. I would also be willing to combine Mesa and Gilbert and do both if that needs to happen, or I can just keep it singular. It doesn't, either way doesn't bother me, I'll put it that way.
I think with the Gilbert one, I think their meeting nights are the same, so it might be a little bit easier in terms of if you needed to reach out. Young Kaprowski is their liaison to GPS, and she's really responsive. So it might be something you want to try, and then if you're like, this is too much, then come back. It's up to you.
Did anybody else, so thank you, Ms. Murray. Did anybody else want or just have a burning desire to be the town of Gilbert liaison?
I'd be happy to take that if nobody wants to volunteer, if somebody's got their eye on something else.
Well, the reason I was asking is because I think Ms. Murray is open to doing both.
I am, but if you wanted to.
Unless somebody else had a burning desire to do Gilbert, then we can,
I would love to do Gilbert.
okay. So are you going to do double duty as Gilbert Education Foundation and the town of Gilbert?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. All right. Mr. Brainerd? Oh.
yeah, I'd be interested in the Employee Benefit Trust.
I just wanted to see if you wanted a second or a third one. Okay. So then, Dr. Robeson, we have Legislative and Audit Committee left. Do I have that correct?
Mm-hmm.
What would you like?
I would be happy with either.
Oh, man. I had a whole joke prepared about how joke's on you, the Audit Committee's where it's at. So you pick, and I'll take what's left.
Well, I'll let you tell your joke. I'll do legislative.
All right. Well, joke's on you. Okay. All right, so I want to run through these. So, Mr. Brainerd, the Employee Benefit Trust. Dr. Robeson, Legislative. Ms. Humphreys, the Town of Gilbert and Gilbert Education Foundation.
Yep.
Ms. Murray, the City of Mesa. Bless you. And me on the Audit Committee. Is there any discussion, any challenges to anybody's committee appointment? Or
No,
Oh,
I would
boy,
just
here it
ask if
comes.
anyone, well, I don't know if anyone other than Ms. Humphries has served on, did you serve on legislative? Anyways, people who've served, if they
my
can
first year I served on
if they can give
legislative.
me input,
Sure.
that would be much appreciated. Thank you.
Absolutely. And Ms. Humphreys was last
Yes.
year,
So,
so.
yeah.
I'd be happy to talk to you
Thank you so much.
about it.
Okay, so I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of the appointments to various committees, as we just explained, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And there you have it. Thank you, everybody, for being willing to serve. Moving on to Section 4 of our agenda tonight, 4.01, monthly financial report for month ended November 30th, 2025 through fiscal year 2026. Dr. McCord.
Thank you, Mr. President, governing board members. We have Ms. Betts with our monthly financial report. It's 2 slides, you said?
2 slides.
2 slides. Everybody, let's give her a hand.
Good evening, governing board members. President Thompson, I think is the last name there, right? Dr. McCord. Just really quick, let's see. I think I've got to do something here. Hold on, because I'm disconnected. As indicated, there's just 2 grids that we're sharing tonight, the district operating funds, which is always what we've shared, and then the federal funds. So we always share what's happening with our main operating funds. You can see on our maintenance and operations, we have an available balance of just under $4 million based upon encumbrance and expected spend through the remainder of this fiscal year. And that is trending as we've seen, so there's no surprises here. And then finally note on unrestricted capital outlay that the year-to-date expended encumbered is about $20.3 million. Recall that we are approved for a budget of around $36 million for that. So as Albert is gearing up and doing his work, he will be bringing those recommended expenditures to you, along with technology services as well. They have not done their refresh buy yet, and so that'll happen in this spring. So those are the 2 comments about the operating funds. And then finally, as normal, whenever we have a negative available balance, we always point that out. So ESEA Title II has a negative balance only because when we adopt, and we have not, well, we've revised our budget once, but we did not have the completion reports or the AFR completed at that point in time. So the AFR indicates our carryover. We've been awarded the carryover. So when we present the budget revision to you in February, all those, that negative will correct itself with the new budget. And that's all I have for the monthly financial. If there are any questions, I'm very happy to answer them.
Just remind us, because the community may not remember, Title II does what?
Title II is the professional development for our teachers and staff that support our teachers' professional development.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. Okay, great.
Thank you, Ms. Betts.
And then Dr. McCord, I'm going to move to the podium.
Yes, our next item is 4.02, FY 2025 Annual Comprehensive Financial Report. There we go. 2 times 22.
No.
Just say microphone on.
Is it turned up back there? Tap on it.
It's not.
Anybody in the back there? Well, I hope you're not doing anything back there. That's not good.
This is a big book. Do you have a water up there, Ms. Betts?
Mhm.
A lot of reading.
It's supposed to go green, right?
Now it is.
There it is. There it is. Ta-da. Okay. Yeah, got it. So hello again. This is our major presentation regarding the financial results for fiscal year 2025. In front of you, you have this wonderful book that Mr. Thompson shared. that has a lot of great reading there for you to fall asleep by. So, again, as always willing, Jackie and myself are always willing to walk through the details of the ACFR with you. We have tabbed the various sections again for you. There's a lot of really great information in there, but we're just presenting to you the highlights. And so to begin, here's our report that we'll be going through, and I really wanted to acknowledge Ms. Jackie Mattinen as well as Amber Morgan, who've been instrumental in creating this report, completing the audit, providing support to Heinfeld Meach, and without them, this report would not have been possible. And a reminder that we have continued to achieve the Excellence in Reporting Awards from both GFOA and ASBO International for this is the 35th or 36th, gosh, I can't remember, maybe 38th or 39th year in a row. So given that, we'll get started. To begin, I wanted to bring up Ms. Jennifer Shields. She's our principal auditor with Heinfeld Meach, and with that, I'll give her the podium. 39, thank you.
I have the report, so. Okay, Mr. President, members of the board, Dr. McCord, thank you for allowing me a few minutes of time to spend with you this evening. I call the ACFR a little bit of a labor of love, you might say. It is a lot of pages. It does have a lot of great information, and I'm very familiar with a lot of the information in there. And I, too, am always happy to talk about it. But you probably don't want me to read it to you this evening, so I'll get started. So I have just a few things. I've been here before to speak to you about the audit process itself and just give you, there are required communications that occur, that are required to occur actually between your external auditors and those charged with governance, which is you up on the dais. So just to get started, I too would also like to thank Ms. Betts, Ms. Mattinen, Ms. Morgan. Without those three ladies and their team, this audit report and the audit procedure itself would not be possible. They have all been wonderful to work with and just so helpful getting us information. So I appreciate all of them. And as Ms. Betts said, the financial statements were prepared in a timely fashion in order to be submitted for the awards. So hopefully this will, the 25 audit will represent the hopefully the 40th time that you guys as a district have been awarded certificates. So we'll find that out later in the spring. In terms of the audit timeline started last June of 25 with the issuance of the engagement letter. We started our preliminary audit procedures that same month. We did most of our on-site, what we call our final procedures. So after you complete your fiscal year and finish out the AFR and finish all the accounting records, we have what we call our final visit, which was done in November of 25. The draft report was provided to management for review and approval in December, and it was also issued in December of 25. The financial statements do include some significant estimates. That's normal in any financial statement audit. In the case of Gilbert Public Schools, the most significant estimates in the financial statements were the useful lives of the depreciable assets. So all of your land, building, vehicles, et cetera. Those are on a government-wide basis depreciated over the estimated useful life of the assets and recorded as expenses in those in that systematic and rational manner. Assumptions that are used in actuarial valuations is another very large estimate. In the case of, you have two different actuarials that are included. One of them has to do with the Employee Benefit Trust, which Mr. Brainerd, you will learn a lot about the Employee Benefit Trust with your new appointment. In terms of the Employee Benefit Trust, the actuarial estimates come from the expected cost of claims for insuring our employees and their dependents. So that is one estimate. And the other one, you have a little less control over, but it's related to the estimates that are related to Arizona State Retirement System with respect to pension obligations. So that liability and the actuarial estimates are really coming from the state retirement system, but they flow through to your audit report. So those were the three largest significant estimates that are in your financial statements. For this fiscal year ended June 30th of 25, there was a new accounting standard that was implemented. It was called GASB Statement Number 101, which was for compensated absences. So that was implemented by the district. It was quite a heavy lift. What the statement did, kind of in like as short of terms as I can make it, your compensated absences are essentially the vested leave that you afford your employees. So things like vacation or, time off, or like, I forget what you call it. It's not sick leave, but it's some type of, what is it? Medical leave, thank you. So the plans that you offer your employees, they represent a significant cost to the district for, when employees either separate and they receive payouts, or when simply people utilize their medical leave because I have a cold today and I can't come to work. There's a cost to the district. So it was a huge lift this year because it changed a lot of the calculations and what constitutes a liability to the district. So the district was able to successfully navigate the implementation of that accounting standard. We are also, as auditors, required to let you know whether or not there were any audit adjustments that were required. This year, there were 2 audit adjustments that were required that we can report on tonight. It's not unusual. However, there were 2, and they were related to something. It had to do with, again, the Employee Benefit Trust and the claims expenses with respect to some cash reconciliation items, and then also some timing differences in state equalization posting. So those 2 adjustments were proposed by us, made by management, so that the financial statements are properly stated. In terms of other required communications, we had no disagreements with management over financial, accounting, or reporting matters. Management did in fact provide all of the requested information that we, information that we requested. They provided all of that information, and then at the conclusion of the audit, they signed what we call the management representation letter, which says, all the different things that they provided for us. As your independent auditors, we, of course, are required to maintain our independence and follow our own ethical standards that are promulgated by our profession. And so we at Heinfeld Meach continually assess our client relationships to make sure that we have no violations, and I'm happy to report that we have no violations with respect to our ethical requirements or our independence. So we are, in fact, qualified to be your independent auditors. The scope of the actual services we provide, so we are hired by you, the district, to perform the audit in accordance with the various standards. There's 3 sets of standards that we follow. They're generally accepted auditing standards, they're government auditing standards, and there's also the standards that are outlined in the uniform guidance, which the uniform guidance is the information related to the federal projects. We also are hired to perform the procedures to complete the USFR compliance questionnaire, which is required by the State Auditor General's Office. So in terms of other information, trying to go a little bit fast tonight, but there are also some non-audit services that we provide. The preparation of that 160-something page report that you have in front of you this evening, that is a non-audit service. So we prepare those financial statements from the district's underlying accounting records, and then we provide that information to management so that they can review and make sure that the information is accurate based on your actual books and records here at the district. So that is one non-audit service that we provide. And then another one is assistance with the preparation of what's called the Schedule of Expenditures of Federal Awards and the related data collection form. Those 2 pieces of information have not yet been presented to the district just yet, but those are forthcoming in what we call the single audit reports. So those should be coming to the district here within the next couple of weeks for their review and approval. So tonight I think we're just presenting on the actual financial statements. Oh, I can't believe I forgot the most important part. I'm sure Ms. Betts would have reminded me, but but out of all of those 168 pages that are in front of you, I'm responsible for 3 pages, and those are called the Independent Auditor's Report. And so I'm happy to report to you tonight that our opinion is in fact unmodified. So that is good news for the district. The unmodified opinion is the like the best opinion that you can get. It means in old school terms, it's called a clean opinion. And so I'm happy to report that. I really can't believe I saved that for the end. But yes, and after that, I'm happy to stand for any questions, or I can turn it back over to Miss Betts to go over all the details that she has prepared for you.
Any questions from the board for Ms. Shields? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll just finish that with, she saved the best for last. I was getting a little nervous there, though, for a minute. Okay, to move on, the government-wide financials. So again, this is very different than how we present to you monthly. So the government-wide financials are a full accrual representation of our district finances for year ended June 30 of 2025. So this is the very highest level. It includes everything that are future liabilities, that it includes all of our assets regarding the value of our buildings and our land and everything that it has existed in Gilbert Public Schools as of June 30, 2025. So, so just to get into some details, so this is our government-wide net position. The biggest takeaway here is that we were able to have a positive change in net position. That's a good indicator of the financial status of Gilbert Public Schools, that we are in a very positive financial status. So note that today our net position, our ending net position is $420.7 million. Please note the note indicating that this ending net position is net of a $56.8 million negative unrestricted balance. That negative unrestricted is directly related to our net pension liability. So it's really remarkable that when you look at Arizona State Retirement and see what our net pension liability is, so for fiscal 2025, note that it's just under $260 million. That is our proportionate share of Arizona State Retirement's net pension liability. But note that a year ago, it was just under $280 million. So that net pension liability is going down for a couple of reasons. Arizona State Retirement is doing better in terms of their return on their investments. And in addition, you can see that our proportionate share has decreased from 1.7 down to 1.6. So you can see that our decrease was about 0.113%. Both of those things have led to the decrease in our proportionate share of the net pension liability. What's notable about that is notice that we reported a negative $57 million of a negative unrestricted fund balance. So, but we really have almost a $260 million net pension liability, which basically means that we actually, if we didn't have the net pension liability, our net position would have been far greater than that $430 million or so that we reported on that financial statement. And then finally, if you look at that bottom table, it just shows you how the net pension liability is impacted by the discount rate, or the rate that we expect Arizona State Retirement, or not expect, but the rate by which they're doing the actuarial calculation that Ms. Shields shared with you. So basically, the actuarial study is based upon a 7% discount rate. So you can see the $257.6 million, that's our proportionate share. But if the discount rate was decreased to 6%, it would be almost $400 million. If it was increased to 8%, it would save us about $100 million in our net pension liability. So it's a very significant impact on that net pension liability as they're doing that actuarial study. Okay?
Ms. Betts?
Yes.
So help me understand, on the previous slide, the $56 million, almost $57 million negative. The ending net position is, so the 420 million is net of the negative 56 million, 56.
It's already accounting for the negative 57 million, yeah.
So is that $57 million, is that money that we just have to have on hand? Or is that like, what is that 57 million? I get what the net liability is, but what is that 57 million? What?
It's just an accounting representation that we're required to do in the full accrual basis of the government-wide financials. We are obligated pursuant to a GASB regulation that was approved in 2012, I think. Is that about right? 2012, 2013. What was happening at the time is that throughout the nation, there was a great deal of net pension liability that was not being reported, and so that led to a GASB regulation requiring all municipalities and all school districts throughout the nation to report a proportionate share of the Arizona, whether it's Arizona or Colorado or Oregon, whatever the case may be, to actually post that to the government-wide financial, the highest level, so that the community is aware of how that pension liability could potentially impact the school district. What's important to note is that I shared with you just under $260 million is our proportionate share. It would do absolutely no good at all for us to pay $260 million to Arizona State Retirement because it's an actuarially determined number, and it doesn't indicate that's how much Gilbert owes. It's all, it just needs, they just needed to communicate it nationally so that the communities were aware that all of these state retirement systems were not fully funded regarding the commitments that they made on this. It's called a benefit. It's not. It's a defined benefit plan versus a defined contribution plan. That means that the rules are governed in that this is how much money you're going to get regardless of how much money we earn. And so because of that, the Government Accounting Standards Board determined back in 2012 or 2013 that we needed to report that net pension liability by organization for every state in the nation.
So I guess what's the liability? So are you saying that there's
it's not really our liability. I guess we just have to post it so that it's a communication tool. Like I said, we don't owe it. Arizona State Retirement is responsible for paying those pensions throughout time. It's just a way in which we're communicating to the community that indicates that our Arizona State Retirement system is not fully funded.
So it's a hypothetical number for a hypothetical scenario.
Do you have anything you can add that would help explain that? Ms. Shields? It's a difficult conversation, right?
It is. It's a very difficult conversation. So in the case of the Arizona State Retirement System, it is a defined benefit pension plan, which means that no matter what your employers are required to input into the plan each year is based on whatever the rate is that ASRS sets each year. So Gilbert's actual expense each year is really that 12.14% for each employee that meets the requirements for the contributions into the plan. But overall, as Ms. Beth said, the pension plan itself is underfunded. So if everybody who is part of the plan retired today, there's not enough cash essentially in their asset pool to pay all the liabilities as promised. So yeah, it's somewhat of a hypothetical liability that has to be reported, which is why at the government-wide level, like from a constituency standpoint or from like say a bond rating standpoint or that type of thing, they don't really look at the government-wide financial statements because there's a lot of accruals that go into those financial statements that make it hard to evaluate, well, what's the likelihood of whether the district is going to be able to say repay debt. They would be more interested in what's going on in your current operating funds, like in the prior item that was discussed on the monthly financials. They're more interested in how are you doing with your budget and how much cash do you have to fund your operations for like the coming fiscal year, as opposed to what is your government-wide liability. So, and further, it gets a little bit more complicated because on the government-wide statement, you're required to report in three categories of net position. You have a portion of your net position, so a portion of that $420 million is already carved out. It's what we call the net investment in capital assets. And what that amount is it is the amount of capital assets that you have, net of depreciation, net of any outstanding debt that you still owe on that. So you have a portion is already carved out of that 420 million. And in your case, 410 million out of the 420 million is related to your assets. We can't liquidate our assets to, do anything with, because we need our assets to be able to service our population. And then the next two categories of net position are restricted and unrestricted. So restricted is important because those are the funds that you're required to keep segregated for the purpose for which you have the resources. So we talk about something like, well, no, that's different, but I'm trying to think. So in your case, so when you get certain restricted, like career technical education, so that's one of the funds that you have. You get monies for the purpose solely, and those funds that you receive can only be used to service career technical education students and run those programs. So that's what we classify as our restricted. And then in unrestricted, we have everything else. So that's where where like most of our maintenance and operation dollars go. And so that's the number that's in the deficit position. But again, it's only in a deficit position because by the time we take out those assets and we take out those restrictions and we add in a huge liability, it sort of makes it look like you're not in a favorable position. But I think as Ms. Betts continues and gets to the fund financial statements, you'll see that your financial position of your district is actually, it looks a little bit more positive on a fund level. So I don't want to say that it's a hypothetical per se, but it is sometimes very difficult in an accounting world. And, I personally can't even explain like the pension standards like in great detail. I think there are others who are probably more versed in that, but that's kind of what it means. So does that kind of help, like, explain?
Yes, it does. Thank
Okay.
you. You should have just said that to begin with.
Yeah, all that.
So really, the takeaway is that we're positive $420 million. That's the takeaway. So our net position is very positive. So this is the functional spend analysis. We're always focused on this. How much are we spending in instruction? How much support services to students and staff? How much administration, operations, student transportation, operation of non-instructional services. So keep in mind that that includes community ed as well as nutrition services. And then, of course, interest on long-term debt. So note, I have asterisked support services administration. So note that it had a decline of about almost $6 million year over year. That was directly related to the Quasimar judgment for Quasimar regarding the assessed values that we had to pay in 2024. That hit the functional analysis in the administration section. So that accounts for that nearly $6 million of reduction. But also note the interest on the long-term debt. This is a celebration as well. So the interest expense paid in 2025 was just over $2 million versus just over $3 million in the prior year. That's an indicator that Gilbert Public Schools is continuing to pay down our general obligation debt. So we're becoming, we have very, very little debt as an organization. So this is our expenses by function year over year comparison. We always share this because this is sort of a precursor to the district spending report that we will be presenting to you in the late March, early April timeframe. Note that the classroom spending was 69% in 2024, and it's been maintained at 69% in 2025. So this is the governmental fund financials. This gets a little bit closer to the information that we share with you on a monthly basis. So just for clarity, the governmental balance sheet funds, so they include the general fund, which is our main operating fund, but it's more than just our maintenance and operations fund and more than just our unrestricted capital fund. There are more funds in the general fund. It is roughly analogous to the monthly financial report that we present to you monthly. All of those operating funds are about consistent with the general fund as it's treated in the annual comprehensive financial report. You can see the other governmental balance sheet funds, other special revenue, debt service, federal and state grants, and then the non-major governmental. Non-major governmental includes classroom site fund, instructional improvement, some of those funds. And then our internal service funds, the biggest one of our internal service funds is the Employee Benefit Trust, which we will discuss a little bit further. So note that this is our governmental funds balance sheet summary. So you can see cash and investments has decreased substantially. You can also see that our other assets have decreased substantially. That's due primarily to depreciation expense. But what's particularly notable is that our liabilities have declined hugely. So $21 million in our total liability decline year over year. And then in addition, you can see the total deferred inflows of resources that's related to that net pension liability and all the calculations that are required to be done regarding that. So you can see that that's declined by nearly 20 million. So those two things in itself has led to the fact that our fund balance, even though our assets have decreased in value, but our liabilities have more than decreased at that. So our liability decrease has outpaced the decrease in our assets, leading to a fund balance that's actually increased year over year by, what is that, 7.6, by about $11 million. So that's a positive story. So this is our general fund. Now remember, we were talking about governmental funds. That's all of our governmental funds. So now we're just talking about the general fund. So you can see the cash and investments. This was the one I really wanted to point out. So we talked about Arizona State Retirement, and if you remember, we participated in the contribution prepayment program that Arizona State Retirement allowed us. That Arizona State Retirement actually pushed to get legislative change there so that we could invest and prepay our future Arizona State Retirement contributions. So note that year over year, we've actually increased by $2.2 million in interest earnings because we participated in this program. If we had left that money in our maintenance operations budget, we would not have received any interest earnings at all. And so remember, the original investment or prepay was about $20 million. So over two years and 3 or 4 months, we've earned over 23% interest and a value of over $4.5 million in interest earnings that normally we would not have realized. The other important thing here is that $24.5 million is what our prepay is. Our contribution, as Ms. Shields shared, our contribution amount that we paid in 2025 was just over 27 million. So we're almost at a full year's contribution in that prepay amount. Again, giving us future flexibility in the event of a major downturn, that we would be able to access those resources to weather any major issue that could be hopefully not a COVID issue, but even we anticipated it when we lost the override back in 2023. Fortunately, we were successful in November of 24, but that money is sitting there to help us have future flexibility. The other point I wanted to make about this is the unavailable revenues. You can see that last year in 2024, that $7 million or so versus the 912,000, that was directly attributable to our ESSER. So in 2024, we spent down all of our ESSER federal funds. That was when we purchased the new curriculum, the new math curriculum primarily, and we paid all that up front. And so that's reflective primarily of that. So you can see our fund balance just in the general fund has increased by about, what is that, for about $8.5 million year over year in just in the general fund. Again, Arizona State Retirement, just wanted to share with you, this has been their interest earnings over the last, 7 years. So you can see during that time, one of the considerations that we shared with you before we went ahead and did the prepay is to ensure that if we're going to prepay Arizona State Retirement, that we're not going to potentially put that money at risk, because if they were going to see a negative interest earnings. And so at least over the last 7 years, there has never been a negative interest earnings. But now that we're sitting on an extra $4.5 million, we have a lot of room in the event of a downturn in the economy. So before I go on, are there any questions about any of that? Okay, great. So, as I indicated, the general fund definition in the annual comprehensive financial report. This is all the funds that are included in the general fund that's presented in that book that you have before you. Note that auxiliary operations and gifts and donations are part of that general fund in the ACFR. Auxiliary operations and gifts and donations are not part of the general fund that we present to you monthly. In addition, this is what we present to you monthly. This is our grid. So classroom site fund, also we include in this district operating funds because we have so much discretion over it in the finance department. Thank you very much. And so that's why we include classroom site fund. It's more of a fund that we have some control over the decision making, so we include it here. The other one is Civic Center. That's not part of the general fund in the ACFR. But largely, that was our intent when we presented this grid to you, was to try to match it up with our formal annual comprehensive financial report. So, internal service fund financials. As I shared before, this includes our employee benefit trust as well as the district services. So I wanted to be clear, the district services are two small funds. It includes our print shop. So our print shop is an operation that charges the schools and departments for any prints that they do. And so that's why it's an internal service fund. In addition, technology also has an internal service fund where they actually repair some of our own devices throughout the school district. So those are a very small amount. The biggest hitter, of course, is the employee benefit trust. And note that to date, as of June 30, again, of 2025, our employee benefit trust, our net position is just a little bit over $24 million. So year over year, if you compare 2025 to 2024, we have drawn down fund balance. I'm going to share this with you. So note that our operating income or operating loss of the employee benefit trust in 2025 was about $883,000, and there was a small loss into district services. But this is one of the advantages of having another internal service fund, such as the print shop. So that roughly about $168,000 was spent during 2025 to remodel the print shop in preparation for the new Canon equipment that went into the print shop. So that $168,000 was drawn down out of the district services fund to be able to pay for the copiers as well as that small remodel. Obviously, that saves our unrestricted capital fund because we had those monies available. So in terms of the employee benefit trust, you can see the $883,000 of operating loss. That means that our expenses outpaced our revenues by $883,000. But note right below that we had $804,000 of investment income that offset that, so that we only saw a loss of about $79,000 thanks to that investment income and the investment policy that we created back in 2023. Since we had a fair amount of fund balance available, we wanted to make sure that that money was going to work for us in a very safe and secure way. So before I go on, are there any other specific questions about that? Okay, great. Again, this is just showing the income statement year over year for the employee benefit trust, so you can see the small change. So other funds. So the food services fund, this is the income statement. Just wanted to share. If you go back to 2024, remember that 2024, I believe, was the first year in which we were no longer on universal free breakfast and lunch. So because of that, we needed some time to right-size all of our operations because we went from, oh my gosh, I don't know, 4 million meals down to 3.1 million or something. So we were working to right-size, which led to that loss of about 1.2 million. But note, the loss, about 1.2 million. But note that in 2025, they have been successful at right-sizing, and we actually were able to increase our net position by nearly $500,000 in food service. So all that is very good news. The bond fund. Thought it was notable to share this information as we have almost completely drawn down all of our bond dollars. So note that in 2024, we spent $22.4 million in bond dollars, and in 2025, it was just under $5 million, leaving us with about $633,000 left, which is designated for transportation, which we already have placed the orders for transportation vehicles. There's a long lead time. We're hoping to get them this spring, but it's possible that they will not come until next fall. So we may be carrying that $633,000 on our books for a little while longer. And then other items to note, Quasimar, I'm just sharing the details of this just for your information. Please remember that we did not take a budgetary hit on the Quasimar judgment. And because we had excess cash, I think I've shared with you several times that in maintenance and operations, we actually earn interest, but we're not able to increase our budget capacity associated with that interest. So therefore, we have what they call dead cash sitting in our maintenance and operations fund. So fortunately, because of that, we had enough of that cash that we were able to pay back that judgment without having to increase our tax rate to our taxpayers. Capital assets, Ms. Shields shared this. You can see that as of June 30 of 2024, our value of our capital assets was $544 million versus $532 million at the end of 2025. Again, that's attributable to depreciation expense. Not that we've lost any assets, we haven't. It's just that depreciation expense hitting us at the highest level. And then finally, our outstanding general obligation bonds. I had shared the debt service payments that we've had to make. So you can see that at this point in time, the outstanding bond principal is just under $110 million to date. And that $21.9 million that's shown is due within 1 year, that's already been paid. That was paid on July 1st. So basically, our outstanding general obligation bond debt right now is closer to $90 million. So associated with that, our bond tax rate was $1.19 per $100 of assessed value a year ago, and today it's 85 cents per $100 of assessed value for the current year, and continues to decline as we pay off general obligation debt. And then compensated absences, you did hear that Ms. Shields shared the compensated absence information with you. Note that as of June 30 of 2024, we had $15.2 million of compensated absence liability and about $15.8 million at the end of this year. Keep in mind is that would be the estimate of what our liability would be to pay out if we were to shut our doors and we had to pay everyone off right now as of July or June 30 of 2026. That would be our liability that we'd have to pay out. So again, we don't know for sure when people retire. They have balances, and those are generally paid out upon retirement. And then based upon that, my report is complete. If you have any other questions, I'm very happy to answer them.
Does the board have any questions for Ms. Betts?
I just want to say thank you. I know it's a lot of work, and sometimes people complain about our spending, but if they really dig into the details, which you have shown very well in this presentation, they'll know where we're spending our money and that we're being very careful with their taxpayer money. So thank you that we had a wonderful audit and everything went well, and I appreciate all the effort that your department and our auditor have put into this.
Thank you. And then just a reminder, there is a roll call acceptance of the ACFR, not approval, but acceptance of the ACFR when you convene the regular board meeting. If that's it, then I will say goodnight.
Thank you, Ms. Betts. Thank you to you and your team. All right. And that's it for our special organizational meeting. We'll go ahead and if someone would make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Humphries. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Murray. All those in favor of adjourning our special organizational meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? I didn't think so. And we'll go ahead and call to order our brief board business meeting and jump right into our consent agenda. Is there a motion to
Don't we
approve?
need a sorry, we do have a call to order.
We already did roll call earlier. Do you want to do it
Okay.
again?
No,
Okay.
if we already did it, we're fine.
All right. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as outlined this evening?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you, Ms. Humphries. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Robeson. All those in favor of approving tonight's consent agenda as outlined, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. We have one action item this evening. The fiscal year 2025 Annual Comprehensive Financial Report. Roll call vote is required. This is the ACFR that we just were briefed on. Not very brief, but we were briefed on it. Thank you for that presentation. I know, it's never enough, is it? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the fiscal year 2025 Annual Comprehensive Financial Report?
Accept. I was gonna
Accept.
say-
Is there a motion to accept? Thank
I
you.
move that we accept the FY 2025 Annual Comprehensive Financial Report.
Thank you, Ms. Humphries. Is there a second?
Second?
Thank you, Mr. Brainerd. Is there any discussion? Okay. All those in favor of accepting the fiscal year 2025
Got to
annual...
do a roll call. Roll call vote.
Oh,
Yes.
it's a roll call vote.
Yes.
That's right. It's the first meeting of the year.
It's all right.
Come on
You're
now.
good.
Mr. Thompson, how do you vote?
Yay.
Ms. Jill Humphries?
Aye.
Mr. Jesse Brainerd?
Aye.
Dr. Blake Robeson?
Aye.
Ms. Shayna Murray?
Aye.
Mr. President, all board members have accepted.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, we are going to, I guess we will have a motion to move into executive session pursuant to ARS 38-431.03A1, discussion or consideration of superintendent applicants. I'll mention that there is an action item in connection with this executive session, and we will, instead of coming back in here after the executive session to vote on this action item, we'll do it in the board, in the conference room, and we'll also adjourn from the conference room. So we'll open that door up and let anybody who's still here wants to be here for that vote, and the adjournment is welcome too. But would somebody like to make a motion?
I move that we go into executive session as outlined by President Thompson.
Thank you. Ms. Humphries, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Murray. All those in favor of moving into executive session, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Let's take 5 minutes.
Yes.